Hello and welcome to day 12, everyone, of the 12 Days of Chocolatey. We did it. We made it. We're here together. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're here, you likely joined us for most or all of our other sessions as well. Thanks for taking that time and out of your day every day. We really appreciate it. I'm your host, Adil Lagari, and at Chocolatey, we are the Windows automation experts. And this event has gone on really well, and we've really enjoyed interacting with you. And hopefully this last day, we get to interact with you even more, especially our whole Chocolatey team here. A lot of us are showing up today to talk with you and have a good discussion. So I hope you're ready for it. And thank you for joining us, and hope we can end this the whole 12 days with a bang today. So thanks for being here, and please do participate with us today. The 12 Days of Chocolatey, as you already know, is a 12-day event that we put on as a Chocolatey software team, where for an hour every day, we've been giving you some chocolatey goodness. Now that's been, different types of content, some talks, some webinars, some Q&A, and of course, that chance to win prizes every day. So if you've been tuning in and you've been filling out those surveys, don't worry. We'll get you one way or the other, and also some cool new feature announcements and these nice discussions we have as well. So that's been really cool. I know I really enjoyed yesterday with all those cool new features that are in R&D, and you might see a bunch of them make it there, you might not, but you've given us your feedback, so we'll take that back with us, and we'll definitely discuss and hopefully you'll see the stuff there soon. This event, feel free to go and check out our Twitch and YouTube channels after the fact. We've got plenty of content there to watch back. And even today, if you have to leave early or anything, just hop on and engage with us that way. We read the YouTube comments as well, all that stuff. So feel free to reach out. And also in the survey today, we're going to have an important question where we're going to ask you what you thought of the sessions and the format and stuff. So please do give us that feedback. We do really live off that stuff. So thanks for engaging, and thanks for showing up in the chat every day. There's so many of you that we see, and those familiar faces, and we love it. So today, we're going to be talking about that format, that little bit of a different format where we have a discussion. So we've got a lot of our team here today. A lot of the Chocolatey fam is showing up, and we're going to discuss and have a Q&A. So along the lines of a Q&A, of course, we have the questions as well. And so before I summarize all the stuff, I just want to mention we do have the questions page. So ch0.co/day12questions. So feel free to hop over to that page, because that way you can follow along with a lot of the questions we'll be engaging with you on today and answering, and upvote the questions that you like as well. That's a great place to do that. So just go to that site and you can enter your own questions and upvote as you like. So hopping back over to the 12 Days of Chocolatey summary. So kind of talking you through some of the stuff that we did over the 12 days. That day one keynote, first of all, Rob had the power of simple, and that was really important to show our core values of simplicity, not only in the way that we operate as a tool or as a team, but also how we try and make your life simple as a Windows admin or a Windows automation team. Then we talked about redefining Chocolatey a little bit, which was more about, the way that the tool that you may know in the open source version, there's a lot more that you can do with it in a lot of other ways, and also a lot more that you may not have discovered even in the Chocolatey client itself. So we touched on different parts of that. Chocolatey Central Management's the webinar that was deployments and scheduling and the API. Gary and Joel took us through that, and that was a separate page. So if you go back to see that, you will still need to register on that site to see the video on demand if you haven't already. In addition, day 4, Chocolatey in the organization, that was Gary's cool presentation where he did all of the stories. So telling the different stories of the different admins and how they did certain things, and how you would set up Chocolatey in the organization in sort of a distributed manner with all the different pieces. Day 5 was about building packages. Myself and Stephen Valdinger, Stevie Coaster, we talked through a lot of the different ways that you can build packages in the open source version, and then also in Chocolatey for Business with Package Builder and Package Internalizer. Day 6 was exploring the ever popular quick deployment environment, so QDE, and QDE is really useful and has been a big platform for a lot of our folks to POC and demo a lot of our products. So we're glad you joined there. And we had some bumps with that demo, but don't worry, folks, we'll be back in January with some more QDE content, hopefully. So stay tuned for that for sure. Day 7, we talked about the Choco CCM module. So this is one of my faves too, because PowerShell, folks. the folks out there who love PowerShell, the PowerShell fam that's out there, we like to interact with APIs, and we like to use invoke REST method, invoke web request, and those tools to basically integrate with any tool we want. So your existing tooling that's already in your infrastructure, you can very much use Choco CCM to integrate central management and all that reporting and triggering and deployments right into your existing organizational tool set. And the Ansible webinar went amazing, and we were lucky to be joined by George James from Red Hat as well, and the Ansible team. Paul Broadwitz gave us a great presentation, and again, we presented those different user stories there, sort of taking a similar page from how Gary did it. So I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed seeing a good way to show off all the different pieces of our Chocolatey collection modules. In addition, then on day 9, we talked about integrations in general. So that included Chef, Puppet, Ansible, all the other platforms, but also we did a little preview on SCCM Intune stuff. So that's coming in the future too. And definitely we wanted to show off that a little bit as much as I could. But coming soon. We explored self-service anywhere with Paul Broadwitz on day 10. So Paul gave us a presentation of how to handle the remote work environment we now have with all these laptops and disparate environments where you may not always have access to VPN or remote AD. Day 11, of course, was that special day where we did all of the R&D stuff, the fun Mad Scientist Lab of Stephen Waldinger, and Rob walked us through a lot of that with questions as well. So that was great. And that brings us to day 12, which is our Q&A panel discussion and our wrap. So before I hand over to Rob, I just want to say, the lawyers make us say this stuff, you know how it is. The disclaimer to say a lot of the stuff we talk about today, some of the stuff we're going to touch on is roadmap stuff. So it's stuff for the future. We can't necessarily say that all of it's going to make it in the exact form that you see it, but we definitely will do our best to have a format that works for you. But yeah, so definitely that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I legally had to say. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm going to hand over to Rob now because he's going to talk us through some of the rest of the roadmap. Rob?
All right. Hey, thank you, Adil. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. So you're joining us from all around the world. Let me get on the right spot here. Window. I think I found it. Perfect. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's, sometimes it's good to take a bit of a look back. And so one of the things that we really improved in 2020 is we brought about community infrastructure improvements this year. But in 2019, if you recall, about this time, we had some real major outages that were on the community repository that really caused a lot of consternation. We started addressing those, and pretty much it was all hands on deck in December 2019, and that carried into early 2021, and we kind of really got that all stabilized, and we really haven't seen any issues where folks are using the community repository having issues. Now, one of the other areas that, thank you, Gary, we finally fixed was a longstanding issue with pushing package. Every once in a while, it would just go wonky, and it really took getting a little better logging and a little bit of really deep thought, and we got that addressed. We also modernized our package verifier. So one of the things that we saw is that as more and more things required Windows updates that weren't necessarily on that stock 2012 box, that was starting to make it harder and harder to be able to actually verify and make sure that things could install properly had those updates been there. And so one of the things we did was we added that. Now we are seeing some more recent package verifier issues, and we're working to address those as well. The next two things, now on the first day of Chocolatey, we actually talked about this community infrastructure, and we brought in the docs, and that was kind of a split off from chocolatey.org to help kind of start to think about how we scale that infrastructure a little bit more. Now, today, and this is the first time you're hearing this, is the next thing that we're doing is we are doing that with the blog as well. And so I want to bring on Gary and Stephanie for a second, and we can kind of talk about this. So I understand there's been a lot of effort to kind of put together both the docs and the blog. And can you talk a little bit about that, Stephanie?
Yeah, for sure. So the blog is totally revamped. You'll notice now that there are tags available that you're able to click on, which will take you to additional articles that are tagged with that as well. That's a new feature. We've always had tags, but we've never really utilized them on the last blog. And you'll also see, of course, we have the dark mode, which is nice.
Yeah,
matches that on the blog.
And the light mode. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So, is the is there some sort of styling that is kind of like going across all of these different places?
Yeah, one thing that I built out when we started moving the docs over was the idea of a global chocolatey theme. So now, even though these are on different subdomains, they all utilize the same chocolatey theme. So hopefully, if we have any other infrastructure changes, other things we want to add on, we can utilize the same theme across the board, and everything will look rather the same. Each one will be a little bit different. Of course, blog is way different than a doc site, but it all has that same look and feel,
Right
which is always good.
And Gary, this the back end technology is something you're quite familiar with, and so it was work, but of course it was a little easier having some experience doing that. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. So, I mean, both the blog and the doc site, when it was hosted under chocolatey.org, it was just markdown files at the end of the day. So the core content was already in a format where we could morph it into a different look and feel. So what we ended up working with is a static website generator called Static. That's with a Q at the end rather than a curly C. So that's by a community member, someone in the community called Dave Glick, and he's worked on static site generation for quite a while now, and Static is his latest implementation of doing that. So we're using that now for both the docs.chocolatey.org and blog.chocolatey.org. So if we've already had some community contributions for changes to the docs, so there is a GitHub repository for all of the doc sites. So if you're interested in helping out, it should literally just be changes to markdown files to improve something, edit something, change something that's incorrect. So if you see something, definitely let us know. And the best way would be through a pull request that we could then get merged in and deployed.
So, for instance, if you come across release notes and you see a typo, it's a little hard to see. A little button there says edit this page. Takes you right into the repository. Actually, brings you right to the file so you can start making those edits and put up a pull request.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, so that's exciting. And one of the other things is we've put in redirects in for those items as well. So, I don't know if we've yet redirected for the blog, but we're very close to if we haven't yet implemented that. Now, that means if you continue to go to those original articles, it will automatically bring you over to this. Another really nice thing that this has enabled for us, as kind of mentioned, is it makes it really easy because what we had to do before to create a blog post was a lot of work, and this is making it easy as a pull request. And then we have some automation on the back end that just gets that out to you. So we'll be able to provide announcements quicker. So you should start seeing more news coming from us in that method as well. So, and of course our docs are somewhat a lot easier because I think it was like 3 different things you had to do to get the docs updated. It was wild and it was not meeting our standards of simple. So really glad to have changed it to be more simple. All right. I'm going to find my window again. 1 second. Here it is. Okay, and so in other areas, especially on our commercial side, we've had quite a bunch of things that we've done. So we found 2020 to be a year of focus with, of course, this pandemic and everything that came out. It really gave us this need to look and pivot and do some things that we had planned for later. One of those things was quick deployment environment, right? So we had talked about something that we were going to do, and I think it was at our gathering, like our company kickoff meeting. We said, hey, we would like to do these things. And we were like, okay, yeah, that's probably 6-8 months out. And then when COVID came out, we're like, actually, we're going to pivot. We're going to do this right now. And the team, awesome, fantastic team. We were able to kind of just move right over and get this done. And what quick deployment has enabled is it's really been helpful for organizations that are in this new area where a lot of their constituents are remote that weren't before, and they had a whole bunch of new constraints. And of course, we had self-service anywhere, and we had other things that really helped them be able to do that remote thing and do it well without a lot of hiccups. And so when we came out with quick deployment environment, that just made it so much more simple, because we took infrastructure that we had that normally would take a while to set up, and we turned it into something you can do in minutes, right? Because it was fully ready to go. It's not necessarily the word appliance, but kind of like an appliance. So that was really cool. And the other thing that, of course, we needed to enable to help out with teams was deployments. So central management got the concept of deployments. And this is really enhancement, as you got, of course, with self-service. It's kind of this pull mechanism where you give folks the ability to say, hey, I've approved these bits of software, and you can put them on optionally. But we needed a way with just Chocolatey where people could say, hey, I need to be able to push out things to folks, and they'd be able to do that in a secure, it could be offline, it could be worldwide, with a remote manner, that I could get this out to folks. And so that's where central management deployments came out. I want to say we came out with that in June. And then most recently, we've continued to add into our deployments, and we brought about scheduled deployments. We brought about semi-connected environments that really allow you to have, the concept of, I might have folks out in the field that aren't always connected to the internet, to allow for that. And then we had API, right? API gives folks the ability to do all kinds of awesome things within central management to pull information out, put it into your other systems like ServiceNow or whatever, that, things that we're not even thinking about yet. We're giving you the ability to go in and do those things with the access to the API. With that, we've brought about our Choco CCM module that allows you even quicker access into that API and doing things. We also put together a GUI extension, and it's in preview mode right now. It's set to be released. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we brought that about to help with certain things like branding and other things. And we've been putting continued improvements into our offerings, making them a little bit more stable, continuing to add things as folks have asked for them. And it is worth noting, we noted it yesterday, is that a lot of the things that we do when we do things here at Chocolatey have come from customer requests. They've come from internal, where we're thinking about things to help out, our user base and things like that. Now, another thing that we did, of course, was the Chocolatey Ansible collections as well. And I think, Adil, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. So the work we did with Jordan Burrian and the Ansible team to move our Chocolatey collection over has been kind of critical there, because as you know, Ansible has separated out a lot of those core modules that used to be a part of core Ansible into their own collections. So I think that was cool, because it was also a sense of ownership, taking ownership of some of that code base and having a GitHub repository that users could submit issues in as well. So it's just an added level of engagement for us and a closer partnership with the Ansible team. So that's been great.
Awesome. So it is worth noting, and I sort of mentioned this before, as we look into 2020, and we're sharing some stuff, we're giving you a little peek behind the curtain here on some of the things that we're looking to do with this next year. And so it's a big bit of stuff we're biting off, and I can't say that we're going to get to everything. Of course, go back to that disclaimer. We don't know when it all will come out. It just kind of falls down based on what we can actually get done, and we have priorities. We're not going to talk about what those are, not in this discussion, but we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we would like to accomplish in the next year. And so in the community side, the big thing is, of course, our Chocolatey CLI. We want to get that to .NET Core because we want it to work on, I mean, you can already use it on different platforms, not just Windows, but you can't actually do anything with the so it's more about the packaging and stuff and maintaining packages more than it's the deployment of things. But we want to put .NET Core in place to kind of help us start down that path this year. And with that as well, we want to get up to that .NET, NuGet version 3 or 4, so that we get a little bit better stuff like package indexing comes along for the ride when you bring that. So that's good. We want to get that there. Package validation. So what this is when I do ChocoPack, currently on the community side, you push a package up and you actually, it goes through all of these quality testing checks that are very quick. Unit testing, as we like to call it. That's the validator. And we want that to be done when you call ChocoPack, right? So that you can see all of that good stuff. So you're not submitting up to a community repository to then find out that, it's not there. And if you're not using the community repository, if you're doing it internally, you want some of that great information as well, telling you whether it's good, it's meeting some like consistent or minimum level of quality as far as that packaging goes. And some of this stuff isn't new, right? We've been thinking about some of these things for 5, 6 years. Some of it is new, but it's kind of interesting, and it's super exciting that we're getting to a point where we're finally able to say, hey, here's some things we've been thinking about for a while, and we're able to actually finally move forward on these initiatives. It's really exciting for me. Of course, with the Chocolatey CLI and Chocolatey itself, we have other things that we're doing with the new spec or the manifest, and lots of things that we've wanted to do there. We've wanted to be able to say, I want to take dependencies and group them by operating system. So I can say, hey, this for 2012 depends on this. For Windows 10 version, release number, whatever, it actually needs these other things that it depends on as well. So being able to do that is something that will be enhancing into that new spec. I can't say exactly when that's going to be, but those things are there. And so another really interesting thing that we've been thinking about for a very long time, and Joel Bennett will tell you that we've been thinking about it for a very long time. I think we discussed this in 2016 or 17, was the concept of a declarative manifest, right? So being able to say inside of the new spec, here's an installer, here's another installer, and they could be in the package or they could be off on the internet, and here are the arguments here. So I don't actually need a PowerShell script. Now this is an option. I can still do the PowerShell script because it's absolutely imperative that you have both a declarative model and I guess it's imperative model, the procedural, because in Windows, the software management ecosystem in Windows, it's crazy and it's insane, and you don't know what you need sometimes. And so it's not as clean as being able to put it in a manifest, because there's definitely sometimes options you need to do where you run some script to set some registry values or other things. And so we definitely need the ability to do both, right? To really manage, Windows software and all the different things you'll do with Windows. On the community repository side, we have more infrastructure improvements we've been planning for a while. One of those, of course, we've talked about it off and on, but we're finally getting to move forward, is to take the community repository and actually split it a little bit off of chocolatey.org so that it's actually its own area, right? And it's at community.chocolatey.org, right? Another thing that we want to do with that is, as we've gotten focused and we thought about what is our community, and one of the things we want to do is to add a mirror onto that, so that organizations and folks that are using integration tools and other things, they would be using a mirror to actually hit that, so we don't have to worry about any of that causing stability issues with the community's use of the community repository, right? And so giving them an option that they can actually connect to instead, that's something that we're exploring in this next year. And of course, we have other architecture changes that we would definitely want to do there. We have all of those things that go along with moderation that need to kind of work a little bit better. And so we have some architecture changes to make with those things, and package verifier, package validator, the scanner, the cacher, all of those things. Also, dark mode. And you're seeing this in a couple places now. You've seen it. It's on of course, the blogs, on the docs. Another question that looms is, can I get this on the community repository itself? Can I get a dark mode? And Stephanie kind of elaborated is that we're kind of putting in a sense of a global CSS that we kind of apply to all of the different sites and of Chocolatey community stuff. And so, yes, we'll be dark moding the community repository as well. So that will be exciting. Also, we'll be putting a dark mode on Chocolatey GUI. And Gary, do you want to talk about those, the Chocolatey GUI enhancements?
Sure. I mean, so Chocolatey GUI is one of the projects that's kind of we've got lots of plans, as Rob's kind of hinted at. We have got a release in the making, so there is a 0.18 release of Chocolatey GUI that's coming soon. There's a couple of blockers there that's preventing us from releasing, but one of the things that is being worked on is a dark mode. So Jan Karger, or Karge, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I only know him as Punker76 on Twitter, or Jan. He is the maintainer of the MAApps Metro library for WPF, and we utilize that within Chocolatey GUI. So it's recently had a major upgrade, so that brings with it the ability to add different themes easily into Chocolatey GUI. So Jan is working on that, so I will let you know when we've got more on that. And the other big thing that's coming in Chocolatey GUI is the ability to pass in package parameters or installer arguments from the GUI. So at the minute, if you use Chocolatey CLI, you can obviously do Choco install, pass in all the parameters, override command line arguments, etc. In the Chocolatey GUI, you can't do any of that, and there's definitely been some requests along the lines of being able to select a specific version, add in package parameters, override install arguments, all that sort of stuff. So I did a spike on that a few months ago. So I know what I need to do. I just need to find some time to do it. Is what it comes down to. So that's coming down the pipeline as well.
Awesome. And I left this one for last because we're going to show you something. Now, I'll say, and I'm going to have Stephanie join me on this one, is that this is in preview, but Script Builder is not a new idea for us. Stephanie, when did you come up with this idea?
I think I came up with this in 2019 with the initial release of the redesign of chocolatey.org. It was something I was playing with back then, and we've kind of kept it up and maintained it since then, but we haven't released it yet.
Right on. And so as we look here on this page, so this is kind of it's a test site, right? And it's where it gives us a chance to look at some changes. Got a couple packages on there. I'm noticing that I got this little green thing over here now. And so if I was to say, okay, Fluffy app, which is an interesting app, and I just click that little plus sign, it's this little thing over here. Oh, that's kind of interesting. And so, or if I go on to a particular page, so maybe we want 7-zip here. And oh, this is interesting, but I see this, I can add it to Script Builder, so I can click that little guy. And so now that I've done that, what benefit do I get once I've done? I've put some things in here. What am I basically building here?
Basically, if you click that little button, the Generate Script button, it's going to bring up this pop-up, and you're able to kind of go through these steps right here.
Okay.
You can review packages. We have lots of integration methods on here currently. So you're able to choose what integration method you prefer. And then at the end here, it will give you a script that you can use to install all your packages all at once, which makes it a lot easier than doing them one by one. And you can keep track of what packages are kind of in your little shopping cart there over on your left as you're browsing through the different areas of chocolatey.org.
It's kind of like a shopping cart where everything's free. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like, here I see I have two options. I can copy a script if I picked the individual one. So this is me as a non-organizational user, somebody that's just coming out to the community repository and pulling stuff. And I can save that as a config file. And so there's some other options I noticed here. There's a generic, Ansible, central management, all these different options. So so let's say I pick Puppet. That gives me, looks like I have to, nope, I have to enter something here. So I need to tell it about my internal repository. Now, let's say that's Nexus internally. And I never get that right. I'm always 8018. So then Choco repo, like I might have that. And then I go over to environment setup and notice it tells me that I have so I got a pointer to an organizational deployment guide, but then I got this get the package in your environment, right? And so this shows me how I can just click this and download packages. That tells me, of course, this is unreliable, same as the community, requires internet access because these packages, because of the distribution. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a note here to make this a little bigger. Okay, is that better? Yeah, making that a little bigger. So I get this place where I entered my internal repo, and then I can choose this option 1 to get the packages, or I can look for something that's more reliable and scalable. Of course, as an organization, that's what I'm going to prefer because I want it to work every time. And so I can go through a manual internalization process to download these packages and internalize them so they don't reach out to the internet. Or, of course, if I have commercial, I can just run this particular command and it will go down and internalize them for me. And then I would be able to, we're working on this a little bit. So this is pretty rough around the edges still. We're going to have a script at the end of this that can loop through all of the stuff that we've downloaded and push those packages up to that repository. And then coming over here, I've noticed that there's an install script that will show me how I can set that into my Puppet manifest. But, and also more fun and more importantly, one of the greatest things that I showed off earlier, as I said, I adapted something, and it's this thing that actually tells me everything that I need to be able to use Chocolatey with Puppet, and will get everything set up for me. So I can say, hey, here's my internal repo. I've already downloaded Chocolatey, and I can set that particular URL, and then that'll help me get it installed. It'll help me set configuration that's really good for organizations. It will help me remove the community repository, set up my internal repository, of course, keep Chocolatey up to date. And then, of course, if I get in and I'm using the commercial side, it walks me through how do I set up the license stuff? How do I set up, what do I do with that license source? Do I get that license extension? And then there's this nice link for all of the rest of the stuff that I can do. And of course, enabling self-service anywhere and some of the other stuff. And so the idea here is when we go to release this, so we should have most, if not all of these, able to support that method. And so that's super exciting. This looks great, Stephanie.
Thanks. Yeah, like I kind of mentioned, there's still some work to do on it, but I think it's shaping up pretty nicely.
Awesome. All right, so that's Script Builder. So let's take a look at some of the other things that we're going to do this year on the commercial side. And so we have plans for enhancing, of course, Package Builder. We have changes we'll be making to, of course, the new spec as well that kind of go along with that. So we're going to be excited to see that Package Builder enhancements come along for the ride. And there's other things that we want to do in there, just trying to think of big ticket items and keep this so that we have plenty of time for questions and other things going through. But Chocolatey GUI extension, mentioned it earlier. We want to get a first version release and not just be in preview mode that turns on branding for Chocolatey GUI and enables those licensed features. Chocolatey Central Management, if you've worked with us at all, has the deployments, it has all that other stuff. Some of the things that we're bringing to it is enhanced reporting. Auto grouping is something that we want. So we got the grouping in, but now we'll turn, and you can do auto grouping now in AD integration, of course, with the API, but we want to make that a little bit more native. So that's something that we'll be working on hopefully this year. A couple more things that we'd love to do with deployments that we're planning on is templating, and with templating, the concept of being able to copy a deployment that maybe failed or do something with that so I can then try it again on maybe the nodes that failed, which comes into retry and failure actions. And then recurring deployments. So this concept of every Monday we run something, or every Saturday night we run something. And so this concept of setting it once and saying this happens over and over at this time, and it just runs something that very set up. So we're bringing that concept, and there's a lot more things that I have on a board over here and on our backlog that we'd love to do with deployments and central management. So if you're really interested in getting into some more of the nitty gritty, of course, reach out to your account manager. If you're a customer, reach out to whoever you're working with. If you are looking to become a customer, and we can talk about those things. Now, Windows updates is something that has been long on the docket of being able to handle inside of central management. We have to put a lot of things in place ahead of that so that when we light up the Windows updates, it just works, right? And so we have some of the things above and some of the things we haven't talked about here that we still have to light up so that when we're able to light up Windows updates. And so a couple things ahead of that. We may get to it. It's kind of a stretch goal for 2021. So if we do get to that, it'll probably be closer to the end of 2021. And then a plugin architecture most likely is going to be sometime in 2022. Now, I kind of skipped over new offerings. And so one of those things is a better integration with SCCM and Intune. And so there are a lot of organizations out there that are using one or both of those products, and they're looking for something that really helps light that up. And of course, Chocolatey is one of those things that really helps light that up. There's, of course, a little bit of work that you have to do right now. We're trying to remove a little bit of that extra setup and make things a lot easier and give you something that integrates a lot better. And so really excited to share that. Now, that's all I'm going to share at this point. Just keep your eyes peeled. It's probably something you might see us introduce second half, maybe early second half. I don't know. We're kind of excited, and we'll see where that goes. It could be even sooner. We just, as the priorities things, I said, I'm not going to share those. That's what might move some things around. Another really interesting thing that has been a topic of conversation with customers and with other folks over the past 4 years, maybe, is this concept of Chocolatey software offering a set of premium packages that organizations could just use. Having the community repository is great, but sometimes there's things that folks just they need, either an SLA or something surrounding that. Maybe much more involved testing, those types of things. And so that's something that we are looking in, and we are hoping to offer in 2021. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on that. All of these things are exciting, and it's really hard to kind of think about what should we work on next. But maybe that's kind of the fun of my job, is I get to kind of help set the goals and which way we're going to go. And so that's a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to ask everybody to go ahead and bring on their cameras, and I'm going to hand over to Mukesh, and we're going to jump into a discussion.
Great, thank you, Rob, and excellent updates. Been a busy year for the team and some exciting stuff coming up for 2021. So I'm Mukesh, co-founder and CEO here at Chocolatey, and I have the privilege of kind of helping us through wrapping up this session, really, and the fantastic 12 days that you've experienced. Hopefully you found it of interest. It's been thought-provoking, but now really is a chance for you to ask questions. We've got an expert panel here, which I'll introduce in a few minutes. So if you're new to Chocolatey, feel free to ask us any questions on how you get started, how you get on this journey for Windows automation. If you're a current customer, of course, you can reach out to our support team, but we've also got a team here today who can help with any questions around implementation or best practices. And of course, if you're part of our community, thank you again for your support, and feel free to ask us any questions. So let's get stuck in. So let me introduce the team very, very quickly. So firstly, let's start by Stephen. Do you quickly want to introduce yourself? Stephen, you may be on mute.
My unmute button was hiding from me. I found it. Yeah, I'm Stephen. I'm a senior solutions engineer here at Chocolatey, and I am super excited to talk with everybody today and answer any questions that I can. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. Stephanie, quick intro from you, please.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a software engineer here, and I deal mostly with the front-end development side of things.
Excellent, and great work on some of those new developments. Paul, over to you.
Hi, I'm Paul Rudith. I'm a senior technical engineer. I deal with mainly operations, but wear many other hats, including Santa's.
Yeah, you do. Joel, introduction from yourself would be great. Thank you.
There's me on mute. Hi, I'm Joel. I'm a software engineer here at Chocolatey, and I deal mostly in the more back-end stuff like the commercial edition and stuff like that. So,
excellent, thank you. Ryan, over to you.
Hi, I'm Ryan Richter. I'm a support engineer here at Chocolatey and deal with the ticket management and helping our lovely customers out every day.
Absolutely, and doing a great job at that as well. And last but not least, Gary.
Hey, yeah, Gary Park here. Been working on Chocolatey for a long time now, in various forms, one way or another. So yeah, I'm a senior software engineer here at Chocolatey, and I get involved in everything, to be honest. So
good stuff. Well, thank you, everyone. So that's your panel for today. So I see we have some questions coming, but guys, don't be shy. Feel free to put your questions into that link. So let me pick up a question here that's been quite topical, actually, been around QDE. So maybe, Stephen, I can bring you into this one. So any development being done in exploring QDE in respect of AWS and other cloud providers, CloudFormation or Terraform and so forth?
We're looking at it. So it's difficult to do that stuff natively, the way we're building things out now. But it's definitely possible for us to change our process to make things be more native to the individual technologies that they're doing. So that's something we are looking at doing. It's not a small amount of work to make that all happen automatically when we're doing new releases of QDE. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, but it's going to take a bit of work. So it probably won't be anytime first quarter-ish, but eventually we'll get there. Yes.
Absolutely. Great, thank you. And again, as Rob outlined, QDE was something that was on the back burner, and it's something we kicked off, kind of at Q1 and made great progress. So, yeah, definitely watch this space. Here's a question, actually, maybe Gary, for you around community packaging, right? So in the community packaging, when a package is in flight, it would be great if it didn't break default installs on previous version, stable branching. Any kind of ideas or suggestions around that?
So I actually think I spoke to Jay. This question came from Jay in the chat. I think I spoke to him about this on Gitter at the time it was happening. So it's, in all honesty, I don't fully understand the problem that Jay is trying to get to. It might be worth a follow-up conversation, Jay, to talk about it some more. I'm certainly open to that if you wanted to reach out. But effectively, what I think he's getting at is that our community package, our packages on the community repository might be working fine, and then something happens to that package, whether it's the upstream installer goes away, then creates a 404 so it doesn't work, and then a community package maintainer has to create a new package in order to fix that issue. There's not a lot that we can do about that. There are some commercial features that will help with that, but ultimately, if an upstream change breaks the package, because of licensing rules around redistribution of installers, we can't always get around that. Jay, I think, is a package maintainer for the POSIX ecosystem, which isn't subject to the same sort of rules that the Windows ecosystem is. So I'd love to reach out to you, Jay, to follow up with that off stream. So yeah, feel free to reach out and we can discuss it more.
Yeah, absolutely, Jay. Please feel free to reach out to us on that. Adil, I have a question here for you, actually, that you may be able to answer. Does Chocolatey for Business work in offline environments, air-gapped environments? You ever seen that use case before?
Just a couple of times a week. It's a good point to bring up because I think this is one that I personally wanted Mark to answer, because myself and Stevie and Ryan see this quite a bit in terms of support tickets that come through. So the important thing to remember is, of course, we work with contractors in sensitive environments and places that we can't even mention on the stream because I'll get in trouble from Rob. But generally with those sorts of environments, you have to remember that the packaging process that you're using, the internalization process, when you're creating those packages, you need to get those packages from somewhere. And so you need to put something in a DMZ or an environment that at least has external web access to pull down those packages. Now that can just be a Jenkins internalization process that lives on a server that's licensed by with Chocolatey for Business, separate from everything else. And you can just open one port in to your repository to push it into a test repository and promote to a prod repository that you choose. But the important thing to remember is, yes, we do fully work, and the internalizer specifically is a feature designed for offline air-gapped environments, but you still need to get the package from some web resource into there. So just remember that piece of it, because often people that come to us with that say, oh, you said you could work with an air-gapped environment, but we now, the internalization process is complaining that it can't go out. Well, that one process or that one piece of the puzzle does need to be in a DMZ or somewhere else that you can get out to the internet. So yes, absolutely, we do support that. And if you're a Chocolatey for Business customer, or even a prospective customer, you can always reach out to our support channel and we will help you in any way we can.
Fantastic, thank you, Adil. Great answer. Hey, Rob, I've got one here for you, actually. Can you tell us a little bit more about Box Starter and DSC and how it relates to Chocolatey, as it was mentioned on someone's bio? So I know you know quite a bit about Box Starter, so I'll leave that with you.
Yeah, actually, I would ask Paul what his thoughts are on this, but I'll give it a shot. So Box Starter is what we like to call configuration management light, and I think that comes from Matt Rock, who was the original creator of Box Starter. Gives you the ability to sort of set up a script that would run through basically provisioning a box from nothing to having everything on it, and it heavily uses Chocolatey. It also manages reboots and other things, of course. DSC, we have a C Choco provider. There's also another one from the community, and we're looking at how we can merge. That one's from Gail Coles. Merge those in together a little bit. But that is that provisioning thing. When you see on our community website, all the different options, it is a configuration management tool that really helps out with that. Paul, I'll let you add some more color to that.
Yeah, there's not really much more colour to add, Rob. I think you've covered all the areas there. But no, that's fine. I mean, Box Starter really is, as Rob said, putting those packages onto a machine. Let's say you get a new laptop and you want to install Chocolatey, but Chocolatey requires you to reboot sometimes when you install packages. So Box Starter takes care of all that. You can start a Box Starter script running, which is just a list of Chocolatey packages you want to install, any other sort of commands that you want to run, and then go and grab a coffee and come back, and your laptop will have rebooted when it needs to, and it'll have installed all of those packages. And C Choco is, as you said, is the PowerShell DSC resource for Chocolatey. So it takes care of all that configuration management, all that idempotency that you need to do using the wonderful world of PowerShell.
Excellent, great stuff. Thank you guys for that. Rob, I've got a quick follow-up question here for you. So we're beginning to see some other package managers emerge in the market. How does that play with Chocolatey, and any plans around working with any of those package managers?
So it's really actually nice. So there's been package managers on Windows for years, or attempts at software management, package management, if you will, and they've all fallen on some scale of where what they do is when you take a look at what it's been for years on the POSIX side, right, where they've had these package management things for like 20 years or longer in some cases, and it's really nice to see Microsoft has made an entrance into this. I think this is their fourth time or fifth time of coming in and trying their hand at package management, which is great to kind of see them kind of step in. And we've been, they've been long supporters of Chocolatey, and they continue to support Chocolatey, even with bringing in this thing called WinGet. And WinGet is more towards developers, right? It's more towards provisioning. It's not really meant as for the organizational side. It doesn't really have the power that Chocolatey has. It doesn't give you this concept of being able to script. So you can't really manage all of your software with it, but it, for the small purpose that it serves, it looks like it's going to be really interesting. and kind of like to see it as it continues to grow. And so, yeah. And of course, we have some things in the docket, and we didn't talk about them here today because we don't know where they are just yet. But we have plans to do some integrations in that area and work better than I think yesterday when you saw us create the Chocolatey MSI. That was the concept of being able to use a tool like Winget to actually get Chocolatey installed, so you can do those more advanced things.
Okay, excellent, great stuff. Thank you, Rob. Joel, I got a question for you here actually around CCM, Chocolatey Central Management. What is the difference between inconclusive, unknown, unreachable, and failed for deployment status?
Sure, no worries. Okay, so the inconclusive status is what you will get basically if something goes wrong, but we can't really confirm that it actually failed. So the most likely case there is going to be either, well, basically that will happen when you start a deployment step and then that computer doesn't check back in at the end of that deployment step. So it may have completed the task. We just literally can't confirm that. So in that case, you would probably have to just confirm on that computer that it actually performed the task. The failed is pretty self-explanatory. The task failed. You can check the error logs for the exact error when Chocolatey was trying to do that install, or whatever PowerShell script you were running actually fell apart. The unreachable status is somewhat self-explanatory. If the computer cannot be reached within the given, there's a machine contact timeout, or it will be also the result if you have a scheduled maintenance window and it doesn't manage to contact it within that time, then you will get an unreachable status. And that status actually propagates through the rest of the deployment as well. If you get an unreachable status, central management doesn't try and do any further deployment steps on there, so that we don't get kind of weird corrupt states kind of things for a later step happening that shouldn't. And the unknown status, I don't know if there's anywhere that it should show up. Basically, that's the default status if it has no other status to give. That should not show up anywhere. If you're seeing that, that probably means there's something we failed to catch, and you need to actually send a line to your support team so we can have a look at it. But in general, I don't believe the unknown status should be showing up anywhere. That's just a catch-all so that it doesn't completely fall apart if something breaks. But I don't think anything that we have in there should be getting it to an unknown status. So if you see that, let us know.
Okay, excellent. Great answer there, Joel. Yeah, of course, anything you see or have questions, please do follow up with us. So yeah, the questions are coming in thick and fast, so please make sure you get your questions in. We want to answer as many as we can. And we're also happy to stick around a little bit after the hour. So if anyone else wants to stick around, please do. I have one here actually for Ryan around QDE, which I'm sure is a very topical area. So let me get this one for you, Ryan. Okay, so Ryan, my organization won't let us import your QDE VM for testing on our network. Is there a way to set this up on a fresh VM we can build ourselves?
You absolutely can, and we run into this many, many times with larger corporations, financial institutions, bigger organizations. Every part of QDE can be set up as a service and can be installed on a fresh Windows VM. If you can't get a hold of our personal QDE VM, there is a great guide on our docs page just called the Quick Startup Guide that can be, and I'd love to shout out Steph and Gary's great work on the website with our Algolia search now. If you just look up the Quick Start Guide on our docs, it'll take you right to it.
Excellent, super, thank you, Ryan. Stephanie, I got a question here for you, actually. Just a general one. You work on a lot of exciting things. You see a lot of cool stuff out there. So what are you really looking forward to kind of working on? What's going to be your kind of key project for 2021?
Oh man, lots of things. I think the big thing for me is the globalization of the CSS and the JavaScript that I've done, which makes it easy for me to kind of port over styles and whatnot to whatever, wherever we want. I'm really looking forward to making those enhancements on chocolatey.org as well, and bringing that to the community repository and making that into enhancing it a little bit and offering that dark mode. So lots of exciting things coming. I'm looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Keep up the good work. I've got another question here, actually. One, I guess, Adil, you probably hear this one quite often, right? So I'm going to bring you into this one. So what's better, not using Chocolatey at all because my company can't pay for it or can't afford the commercial version, or using the insecure, in their words, not ours, open source community version? Do you ever hear that one, Adil?
Just a few times. Yeah, so you know, we love the community. We built our entire product on open source and rock and roll. And so generally, like we do recommend that you continue to use the community repository. The Chocolatey Community repository does go through a verification process. You know, the whole moderation queue and everything. I don't know if you guys heard about it on the other days, but the whole process of, you know, vetting those packages, making sure the package verifier can install those packages successfully. In addition, VirusTotal scans it against 50 or 60 different antiviruses, and we have a human moderator who actually checks through that package too. So there's a fair deal of vetting that goes through that process. And so, I mean, continue to use it, please, if you'd like. And on top of that, as an open source user, of course, you know, it's just the simplest way to install stuff on your computer, like that I find. So there's no reason to not use it at all. We just ask that, you know, if you would like to try out some of those extra features, you know, talk to us as an organization. You know, we're always here to give you a demo and to show off some of those features. And you know, we work with you if you're a public sector organization or a university for education. I know Rob has a lot of that, you know, stuff, you know, as part of our whole ethos here to help out as much as we can, especially during the times of COVID. We work with a lot of organizations to help you out. So reach out, you know, it doesn't hurt, but please continue to support us with the open source version.
Excellent. Okay.
And I'll add to that.
Oh, I was going to add as well. I'll let you go first, Rob.
I was going to say, Eric, or is it Eric? I don't know, but I'll just try that. The other thing to consider is, you know, some organizations look at that use of the internet as being insecure, and we don't necessarily disagree with that. But when you use Chocolatey, you don't have to use the community repository. You don't have to use the internet at all. And so if you're in an organization that needs to be air gapped or anything like that, you can still do all of that with open source. But the other side of that is the commercial stuff is just going to light up things a lot better and make it easier to do that implementation. Go ahead, Gary.
That's effectively what I was going to say. I mean, there's nothing to stop commercial customers or commercial organizations using the open source version of Chocolatey internally with their own repository and going through the process of manually internalizing the packages from the community repository. It's just that the license features make that easier. There's more work for you to do, but if the thing that is insecure is that you're taking packages from the community repository, then you can manually internalize them, manually vet them, put them in your internal own repository, and then consume them from there. So there's definitely an option. But yeah, having Chocolatey in the mix, obviously, we're here. We want you to use Chocolatey in some way, shape, or form. So I would say use it. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you guys for that response. Quick one for you, Paul, here. Simple question, it says, Chocolatey creates shims for executables. Is there a way to create a shim for a .cmd or .ps1 file?
As far as I can remember, the shims are created for executables and also batch files. I've seen some people use actually call batch files as well. Call PS1 scripts from within the batch file, and that will create a shim for that. You confirm that, Rob? Yes, he's not.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, that's that. So yeah, I was correct. It's been, you know, usually when you're moderating packages, you can see the way people tend to do these things. So yeah, calling it from within a batch file tends to be the way to fix that.
Excellent, great stuff. I know we're going a little bit over here, so I think we'll take a couple of more questions and then we'll wrap up the session. So Stephen, here's one for you. In computer lab environments, sometimes it's useful to inject settings into Windows default user profile for new user logins. Does Choco provide any helpers?
Not directly for being able to do that work, to inject into the current user. It is possible. You can write PowerShell code to do that work and manage it as a Chocolatey package. And again, we've said this several times over the course of the event. Chocolatey under the hood is just PowerShell, and really that enables you to be, the sky is the limit. The only limit to using Chocolatey is your imagination. So if there's some work that you need to do and PowerShell solves the problem for you, write the PowerShell in your Chocolatey install.ps1, bundle it up, and push it out. And when Chocolatey installs that package, you know that those settings have been applied. And then also, if you're extending that information into something like central management, etc., you then have reporting available to you that these machines got that configuration applied to them. And you can similarly write code in a Chocolatey uninstall that unsets those configuration items. So if you're setting registry keys at uninstall, you can unset those registry keys when you remove that package, and you have that same level of reporting available to you inside of central management, or if you're bringing that information to other tools, that same information would be available there. So the short answer is yes. The long answer again is that you'll have to write some code to do it, but it wouldn't be terrible.
Okay, no problem at all. Thank you, Stephen. So look, with that, we're running a little bit over the hour, so I think it would be a great time to wrap up. So let me say thank you again to Windows automation experts, Rob, Adil, Joel, Stephen, Paul, Ryan, Stephanie, and Gary. So thank you everyone for your feedback and response to those questions. And of course, it doesn't end here. You can reach out to us, as Adil mentioned, if you want to look at Chocolatey for Business, feel free to do that. You want to look at the community, please continue to do that. And your feedback is critical in everything we do. So please stay in touch. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Adil, who's going to wrap up the session for us. Thank you, Adil.
Yeah, thanks, Mukesh. So, folks, we made it. It's been 12 days, and you've stayed with us for the whole ride. So thank you so much. Throwing up some links here for reference for you. Of course, Chocolatey for Business, the features are up there on C4B videos. We've talked about this a bunch of times, but I will mention it one more time. The QDE
Sorry,
V2
Adil,
setup
can I
video.
just interrupt? I think you're
Go
sharing
ahead.
maybe the wrong screen.
Oh, am I? My bad.
So you're sharing
Yeah.
Slack and.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we're doing it live. Hold on one second. And here we go. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. Okay, am I sharing the right screen now? Can someone confirm with me?
Indeed, yes.
Thank you. So there's the links that you need to see. So you've seen these before anyway. The C4B videos is up there for just all the features for C4B. Again, continue to use open source if you can. Thanks for your support. QDE V2, of course, easy way to set up QDE, and then you can go back to the day 6 video as well that we touched on there. So that's QDE-videos as well. ch0.co/org is that organizational playlist that Gary created for setting up a distributed environment that Ryan was referring to. And the code from our talks is available at ch0.co/12dayscode. So those are links for you to check out after this. And of course, we had all those days of talks too. So please feel free to check out all of those 12 days of Chocolatey. I won't go through them all over again, but you know where they are and you know where we live. So go ahead and ping us online on any of the platforms. A lot of us hang out on Twitter too sometimes if you ask questions and you just tag Chocolatey NuGet or Chocolatey, hashtag Chocolatey. Usually somebody will find it from our team. So yeah, with that, I just want to thank everybody for their time. And thank the whole team for showing up today. And thank you for the 12 days that you stayed with us. I know an hour every day, taking that time out of your day is, can sometimes be a little bit inconvenient, but hopefully we brightened up your Christmas a little bit, and we will hopefully brighten it up a little bit more with some of those prizes. So definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, with that, I just want to thank you all for your time and appreciate you joining us. And we'll hopefully see you again in the new year. But if we don't talk to you, have a great Christmas and a great holiday season. And hopefully you stay safe and healthy. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.